Good morning. Good morning. Welcome everybody to LT Senior Services monthly webinar. We're so excited to have you all here. We're going to have everybody joining. It'll take a couple minutes for everybody to join our event. We're so excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about staying put and emergency preparedness, all really important topics right now, as we recently have gone through Snowvid. I wasn't sure how to spell Snowvid. We'll see if I did okay on my PowerPoint. But first, I just wanted to welcome our panelists here today. Our panelists are very wide, have a wide variety of different backgrounds, and they're here today to talk about specific things to their industry to really help us learn more and more. Our first is Kelly Jennings. Kelly is the owner of 101 Mobility, Central Texas. She's based in Cedar Park, and she's servicing the entire Austin metro area. She works hard every day to deliver the best mobility and accessibility solutions to seniors and others who are faced with limited physical mobility and caretakers who help them. Prior to joining the 101 Mobility Network, Kelly was an assurance partner with the top 10 accounting firm in Washington, D.C. metro area. An accident, unplanned surgery, and a short stay in assisted living facility resulted in Kelly's first-hand experience dealing with mobility challenges and lack of resources available to individuals dealing with similar challenges. So Kelly will be talking about things to look out for, things that we can change in our home, and talk about some great products that she represents. Amy is from Aging is Cool. For nearly 30 years, Amy has committed her work to improving the lives of older adults in some form or fashion, from her time as a social worker, nursing homes, and home health care to her executive roles in senior-focused nonprofit agencies. Amy has served caregivers, individuals with dementia and disabilities, and now addresses issues related to active aging and ageism. Amy has a master's degree in human services from St. Edward's University, and she and her husband, Damien, founded Aging is Cool in 2016. I love that name. It makes you smile every time you say it, with a dream to create smart, engaging, fun activities for older adults. So welcome, Amy. And last, we've got Bobby Scruggs. He is the native of Alabama, but spent most of his development years growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. He graduated from Ohio University with a BBA and degree in marketing. Bobby has held numerous sales management, customer marketing, business development positions with Fortune 500 companies such as Goodyear Tire, BP Oil, Frito-Lay, Colgate, and he formed Scruggs Family Holding in 2018 and serves as the parent company of his franchise, First Light Home Care. Bobby is currently president and CEO of First Light Home Care of Austin, where he and his team provide non-medical home care services for seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, and those recuperating at home. Scruggs also serves on the board of directors for the Austin Kappa Education and Leadership Foundation as its treasurer and co-chairman of fundraising. So when he's not working, Bobby enjoys playing golf, traveling, and spending time with his wife of over 30 years, Michelle, and his 2 adult children, Ashley and Darren. And Bobby attributes his career success to living by the simple rule, by powerful operating philosophy. I believe that God will provide me with everything that I want in this life if I'm willing to help others to get what they want. So welcome to our panelists. We appreciate that you're here. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So y'all are going to go away. We're going to hide you for a couple minutes, but we'll bring you back in as we start the actual event. So again, my name is Cindy Cummings. I am with Lake Travis Senior Services. I am a volunteer, actually. I'm one of the founders of LT Senior Services, and founded just a couple years ago. We have over 40 members, or right around 40 members, and we are a nonprofit, and our goal is to help seniors and their families in the Lake Travis area, and we do that via a couple different means. One of them is educational events, and today is one of those days. So we do hold monthly webinars, and today we're going to be talking about aging in place. Next month, we're going to be talking about innovative products that you can use in your home that can help you age in place, live better, live healthy. So we're really excited about that presentation. That's going to be in, gosh, it's May. I can't believe it. So that's going to be in June. In addition, we are getting ready for our Aging Well Expo, and that's going to be in September. We already have a really vibrant group of exhibitors that are going to be there. I've got this great little flyer. was actually going to pull it up on my computer, but I think I'll show it to you instead. It's a little bit easier. So here's our Aging Well Expo. It's going to be September 27th. You're going to be able to get vaccinated for the flu. We'll have flu shots there. We also are having 3 different speakers. One speaker is going to be talking about Medicare and the changes for 2022. This is the type of presentation that we hope that will help our clients and our seniors who live in the area to learn about the changes for Medicare well ahead of the time that you have to make a decision. So we're looking forward to that talk. We do that talk yearly in this month. In addition, we're going to have a panel of experts from Baylor Scott and White, and they're going to be talking about secrets of aging well. Who doesn't want some secrets to aging well? So we're really looking forward to that panel. We're going to have a very diverse group of doctors who will be on that panel. And then lastly, we're going to have a panel on, or somebody will be speaking on interesting technology for aging in place. And that's from Enabled Living. And they are one of our members of LT Senior Services. And we also have a lunch. A lunch is going to be complimentary of Arbor Terrace. And we intend on going live with this. This will be probably our first and maybe our only live event for the year. So we're really going to be focused on bringing you great content, and we're excited about having everybody come. After the Aging Well Expo, we're going to have a job fair, and the job fair will be for those who are over 50. And we have done this before, and we've matched employers to employees. It's worked out really well. So we're excited to have a job fair after this event, and it will be for, I believe it's for an hour and a half. And so if you are an employer who's looking for employees, or if you are looking for employment, please sign up for this event. It will be live. In the previous years, we've had restaurants there. The school district was there. We had financial companies there, attendant care companies. I'm trying to think of the different types of companies, but a whole variety of different, the hospital was there too. So we're super excited to do that again. We hope that you will participate if you are looking for a job. And the jobs could be part-time, full-time, anytime. So boy, am I talking fast? It's Monday. You'd think I'd be talking a little slower, especially after Mother's Day. But we are so excited to have you here. My name is Cindy Cummings, and I am a local real estate agent. I work for a company called Realty Austin, and I have an ancillary business called Turnkey Transition. And I am lucky enough to be your moderator for many of these events. We've had other people who moderate, but in general, I am your moderator. So we welcome you here today. Let's see. Let me see if there's any members of LT Senior Services that want to pop in and just say, hey. Natalie Harris is helping us out, getting all this organized, and she is bringing in Karen Ballinger. Hey, Karen. Karen's from the library. Tell us what's going on with the library. I think you've got some changes coming up.
Yeah, we're really excited to say that the library doors are now open. So you can come inside and browse. And so masks are required, and it's limited hours. Right now that it's open for the same hours that the library was open for curbside, but we're still so glad to have everybody inside. It's great to see patrons inside. The chairs are all taken away. So we ask that you just kind of come in, grab your stuff and check it out. And then, but you still can use the computers for a limited time, and you can use the copier and the scanner.
Excellent. Well, that is great news. Have been so creative and still getting product and services and help to everybody, but it's just nice to have the library open. It has to be a great feeling.
Yeah, we're very excited. It's great to see everybody.
That's great. Well, thank you, Karen, and thanks for being such a great supporter of our series. We are always so thankful for any kind of help that you've been able to offer in marketing and getting the word out. We appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. This is great. A great resource for the community.
Thank you. Okay, Bobby, tell us a little bit more about your company. You are one of our members. So yeah, give us a little spiel.
All right. So good morning. I'm Bobby Scruggs, and I'm one of the owners of First Light Home Care of Austin. We're a 5-star non-medical home care agency. We provide personal care and companion care services. We're happy to collaborate with all of the members of LT Senior Services. What a fine group of people to work with, and we appreciate all that you do, Cindy, to kind of help keep us together. So just glad to be here this morning, and if anyone has any questions after we're done about what we do and how we do it and how we help seniors in our area, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Bobby. So I'm looking for any other members. Are there any other members that might want to come in and say hello to our audience here today? We'll give you a second to say hello.
Ray Daniels on the webinar. Let
Oh,
me
great.
invite him.
Okay. Hey, Ray, I think we're trying to bring you in if you are there. We see a black screen and you are muted. If you just want to unmute, we might be able to hear you, Ray. And then we can at least do that part. All right, I see you're unmuted. What do you have to say this morning, Ray?
Well, good morning, Cindy. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, seniors at LT Senior Services. I just wanted to let everybody know that reverse mortgages are at an all-time high in demand, mainly because of the high price of appreciation in real estate, as you well know. We're having bidding wars all over Austin, which is driving the prices up, which is good if you're trying to refinance your home and access cash in that home. It's not so good if you're trying to buy another house. It is good if you're trying to sell a house. So, but anyhow, reverse mortgages figure into that in a major way with record low interest rates and record high property values. That maximizes your benefits of a reverse mortgage. I work with Fairway Independent Mortgage. We're the third largest reverse mortgage provider in the United States, and I'm here to help in any way I can. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. I was just going off and off. I was just saying thank you to Ray. Ray is going to be on an upcoming panel where we talk about how to pay for senior living. And one of the ways you can pay for senior living is to use a reverse mortgage. So we look forward to hearing more from him. And so I think without further ado, let's just talk about the format for our meeting here today. You're on Zoom, and if you move your mouse around, you'll see that you have different options for different views. If you go up in the top right-hand corner, you can change your view to speaker view or gallery view. A lot of people prefer the speaker view. Then you'll just have a person that's speaking and any presentation that they might have. But it's completely up to you, whatever view makes sense for you. In addition, if you go to the chat area, if you click on chat, that's where you can ask questions. You can also ask questions and question and answer. We'll look in both of those throughout the presentation, and we'll ask those questions when it's appropriate mixed in, or we might ask all the questions at the very end. It just depends on what the questions are and how the presentation is moving along. So that is our basic format. And I think without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and present PowerPoint. And throughout the presentation, you'll hear me talking to Natalie. I'll be asking Natalie, hey, Natalie, what do you see? Does it look okay? And I'm going to ask her right now if she can see my slides.
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my slideshow. Can everybody see those? Okay, great. So staying put and aging in place. So what we know is that most people want to stay in place. They don't want to have to move to another community, move in with family, move into senior living. The largest majority of the people that I work with, they want to stay in place. And so as a realtor, I help guide them and help them make changes to make their house work for them so that they can stay in their home and age in place gracefully. So today we're going to talk about aging in place and staying put. And the definition of aging in place is the ability to live in one's own home and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age, income, or ability level. And so to do that, and you probably have seen neighbors, maybe you're even going through this yourself, there's lots of things that you might need to do to be able to age independently. And some changes that you might have to make that happen. So these are some considerations to age in place. The first is emergency preparedness, socialization, activities and purpose, transportation, assistance with daily activities, physician services, and home safety and modification. And our panelists are going to go really deep on some of these topics for us. So the first one is emergency preparedness. And I'm going to go ahead and ask Amy to come back in and to talk a little bit about emergency preparedness. Amy has been a leader for seniors in our community for years. And she did something kind of, well, I'm really thankful she did it, and something kind of unusual in that what she did was she started to help people who were locked in with SNOVID and who were not able to get the services that they need. So she had a wide network of people. And are you there, Amy? I think I'll have you talk about it.
I'm here. Thank
All
you.
right. So Amy, what happened and what did we learn from SNOVID? And did I spell SNOVID wrong?
I think you can spell it however you want, but that looks like it makes sense to me.
It probably will be a dictionary word, I would think, after, oh, it was terrible. It was horrific. And I know we talked during that event, and you have some unusual things in your house that make it easier for you to survive an event like that, but many people don't have. Don't you have a well?
We do. Yeah, we have a well. So, but luckily our electricity stayed on, or our well wouldn't have worked either. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's true. If you don't have a pump. Well,
Yep.
take it away, Amy. I'm going to just let you go ahead and answer these 3 questions.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you wrote SNOVID instead of snowpocalypse, because I think that's harder to spell. But
Yeah.
so I think what we learned is that we weren't ready. The entire community wasn't ready. The city of Austin wasn't ready, and we weren't ready as individuals to deal with what we were faced with. Not only did we lose electricity, many of us had our water shut off. Nobody could get to people. So, even if you wanted to help, you couldn't get anywhere. So I think there were some really big lessons that were learned during this time period. One is the importance of neighbors and community. And, so often we don't connect with our neighbors in the way that we used to, but it really spoke to how important it was to be aware of who's in your neighborhood that might possibly need help in a situation like this, and having maybe a couple of key people in your neighborhood that you can reach out to that has emergency contact information for you and things like that. Because what really happened in neighborhoods that people couldn't get into was neighbors helping neighbors and walking down a couple of houses and dropping off some canned food or some bottles of water. So that was quite frequent. So be sure that you know somebody in your neighborhood, both as a helper and a possible receiver, right? We never know. The second piece is that nobody had an emergency kit. And this isn't the only type of emergency that we can have in our community, right? This was unusual for us. We don't usually get this kind of weather. But in the summer times, things get very hot, and we've had rolling blackouts because of the heat. We've had tornadoes in our area, and goodness knows we've had our share of fires over the last decade or so. So it's really important to have an emergency kit in your home that either is a grab and go type of kit if you needed to evacuate your house, and or a remain in place type of kit. And I've been doing a little bit of reading this morning, and here are some of the things that are really important, regardless of whether it's a grab and go or a keep in your house. One thing is to be sure that you have about 7 days of your prescriptions and medications available to you. So that should be in your kit. Now, if you're home, obviously you're going to have access to that. But if you did need a grab and go kit, you're going to want at least a week's worth of your medications. They suggest having a gallon of water per person per day. So finding a dark closet somewhere that's nice and cool that you can put some jugs of water back there so that you have that ready. And we really saw this happen. I mean, we literally have people going and pulling water out of swimming pools at some of the big apartment complexes and boiling it on their stove just so they could wash and hopefully not drink that. It's important to have about 3 days worth of food. So be sure you've got some canned products and things that you can open up quickly, things that are going to stay shelf stable for a little while. And if you do that, be sure you've got a can opener somewhere. Having a map is really important, especially if you are in a fire or an evacuation type of situation. We figured this out when we were traveling in Arkansas this past week. We were relying on our GPS system, and very frequently it went down in these very rural areas, and we really literally didn't know where we were. So be sure that you've got some sort of map with you. They say keep a little bit of cash, at least $50 on hand somewhere, so you can grab that as well. A first aid kit. And then two things really important, especially during snowvid, would have been flashlights because of the evening. So flashlights and a supply of batteries and a hand crank or a battery operated radio. A lot of people weren't able to get notifications on their phones, or they didn't have smartphones, so they didn't know what was happening. And so with that, you can at least get your public things. And the other thing is a pack of cards, because you're going to need something to do, because you've got no television, you've got nothing going on there. So be sure that you've got that. So there's a simple kit. You can find many more things that can go in your kit, but that'll get you started. So third question here is, what services and supports can the Aging Services Council provide? So the Aging Services Council is a collaboration of about 30 to 40 different agencies who are all serving older adults in our community. And during this time period, these agencies were the key in stepping up for response for older adults, and have also been very key in COVID protections and vaccinations in our community. And testing, we've played big roles in that. So you can always know that if you need immediate assistance or something is going on, and sometimes 911 isn't your answer. The police and the fire were all busy during this, and we're telling a lot of people, sorry, I can't help. The Aging Services Council really pulled together and pulled resources and supports. And so you can go to agingservicescouncil.org. Or you can follow us on Facebook, and we were posting where you could get help and assistance, numbers to call. And we've been doing that on, again, vaccinations. We've been doing that on emergency preparedness. So if you're looking for the experts, all in the nonprofit and governmental sectors that are, immediately jumping in, that's the place to go.
That's awesome. Amy, you're doing some work on trying to solve the problem long-term. So just tell us, I know that wasn't one of the things that we were potentially going to talk about, but tell us a little bit about your research and what the plans are for the future.
So we've got a couple of things going on, especially during the, for the Aging Services Council, we've pulled together a committee, and we're working on developing a plan for older adults in Central Texas. So what exactly are we going to do? What is the response? How do we mobilize volunteers and water and food very quickly in these situations, so that next time we're not scrambling to figure it out on the fly, which is what happened this time. We have a committee that's working on actually creating emergency preparedness kits. So we'll be distributing those to low-income communities and individuals who need that help and may not be able to put their own kits together. We are working on individual plans. So you'll be able to see soon, we'll get that distributed, some documents on what should be in your kits. And then on a side note, I'm on the Commission for Seniors here in Austin, and we are working on making some recommendations to the city of Austin around what needs to be done. So there's a lot of research going on. We're hiring some consultants to help us, or experts in the field, but really trying to put something that's a little bit stronger together so that we're not as panicked this next time. I could tell you, I worked on 30 different apartment complexes that all housed older adults during snowvid, and I had no idea what I was doing. I've never done this before, and it would have been so helpful to have some tips and a plan. It all came together in the end, but it was flying by the seat of our pants for sure.
Well, we are so grateful that you were one of the people who reached out and tried to organize help. Just getting water to seniors. They didn't have water. We were talking about a basic need, So to really corral everybody and get volunteers, helping with seniors. This was not something that was done by some corporation. This was just people who were like, I've got chains on my car. I can take some water, and I've got some water. Where do I take it? What were some of the surprising things? I think I had heard some things about some restaurants helping.
The restaurants were amazing. The Restaurant Association in Austin, they were cooking food, they were boiling water. There was one Asian restaurant that was taking their big wok pans, the great big ones, and boiling water on the stove and pouring it into containers and then taking it out to people. We had more food than we knew what to do with. There were a couple of assisted livings that I think again, because I was making it up as I went along, I think some of them got 3 or 4 dinners from different restaurants, because I'm just like, go there, go there.
If they're not hungry today, they'll be hungry tomorrow.
That's
So
right. I was like, put it in the freezer, have it for lunch,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Well, I know some of those apartment complexes, the management just basically locked up and was not even there to assist in any form or fashion. And then you had others who were bringing in their families and helping with everything. So, you know, it's just people helping people, boots on the ground, and you guys did a great job. So I know that a lot of seniors probably don't even know where the help came from, but a lot of it had to do with your organization. So Amy, if you'll stay on screen, let's just go ahead and talk a little bit about socialization. Socialization activities and purpose. We know that social isolation is as bad for your health as smoking a half pack of cigarettes a day. Do you still believe that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's for aging is cool. We have 3 tenets. It's stay strong, which is your body, stay smart, which is your mind, and stay social. And for me, stay social is the most important of the 3. If you're going to remain at home, aging in place, you need to plan for your own activities and well-being, and socialization is as good as anything you can do because it works your brain, it improves your mood, and people who are socializing are more likely to be exercising or moving around. You know, they're doing more when you're connecting with people. And I think we've really found, you know, especially during COVID, how important this is. And we're so pleased that, you know, we were able to have technology step in and fill a little bit of a gap, but there is nothing like being in a space with somebody and feeling that energy and being able to hug someone. So planning for your socialization is really, really key. And I've found, you know, Damien and I did a video the other day. We meet up in the kitchen around coffee, and then we go to our offices and hardly interact all day long. I mean, it's really bad. And so we've had to start thinking about, how do we actively engage with people? Are we having, you know, Zoom calls with our family? Are we reaching out to other people now that we're vaccinated and we can kind of get out a little bit? You know, can we go, you know, have a picnic in the park with somebody and really be with people? It's really, really crucial.
Let me go to this next slide. And you talked about this, socialization activities, physical, mental socialization, and purpose and meaning. So these are some activities that potentially you could do. If you want to go through some of those and tell us a little bit how you might help, or you know other entities that help with things like this.
Yeah, there's so many fantastic things going on out in your world that you probably don't realize. The beauty is that if you are home-based, you can access classes virtually by phone, but now we're starting to see things opening up. I'm hearing the senior centers here in Austin may be opening up soon. A lot of residential care places are starting to let activities happen again. So there's lots of things to do in your community. So reach out, look out there. We have a new website that's not on here, but it's called amightygoodtime.com. And if you go to amightygoodtime.com, anywhere in the country, you can find activities for older adults that are geared for people 50 plus. So you can search by all these categories: fitness, learning, self-improvement. Obviously, faith-based congregations are great places to find activities and interact. Special interest groups at meetup.com is really fun. If you've never been to Meetup, you can just type in, you know, I like woodworking, or I like art, or I like sing-alongs, and you almost always will find a group of people. And we used to do a couple of these. My husband Damien is English, and we did a British Meetup group, and it was so amazing. Great welcoming people, and made some really good friends in there. So try that out. Lifetime Connections Without Walls is by Family Elder Care, and it is a phone-based classes. And there's all kinds of different courses you can take there, and I think it costs $5 a year to join, so it's not even particularly expensive. And then finding, I've got community and home-based volunteering here. Finding purpose in your life is important as well going forward. What is that thing that you get up for every day that makes you feel good? And there are lots of opportunities to volunteer both in the community, but there's also things at home. My mother is doing a volunteer program right now, and I'm going to go blank on the name of it, but it's every month they send you a list of 3 or 4 people who are in need or going through a difficult time, and you write cards and letters to them, and they send you an address. And she just does this once a month. She'll sit down and write 5 or 6 different letters to people in need that are really, personal and thought out. And so these folks get hundreds and hundreds of letters of support from all around the country. So there's lots of things like that and ways to volunteer at home, especially because we've got virtual now. So there's lots of things that you can do. And then Aging is Cool. We offer a full range of activities: fitness, brain training, social groups, educational presentations. And you can actually find all those at amightygoodtime.com as well. So we're all listed there, kind of getting everybody to go to the one-stop shop so you can find everything. So
this is a great time for people, if they are on the call today and they're a part of a group that has activities, please remember Amy's calendar. You can go there and you can post. I think you can post for free right now, right?
We just started charging a couple of weeks ago, but it's $4.99 to post one event, and we've had, oh gosh, we've got 1,200 followers on Facebook in just 3 months, so it's growing very rapidly. We've had over 3,000 hits on the website. So if there's something you want to market, please do let us know.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Amy, for taking us down that road for aging in place and how important it is to have that social part, and how there's just a lot of ways to fulfill that too. Bobby, did you want to add anything about socialization?
Sure, I'll just add a couple of comments that, from all that I've been reading, one of the biggest concerns being post-COVID being the effects of social isolation. So I would encourage seniors, as things start to open back up and they become more comfortable being around other people, that one of the first things they should do is to try to find some senior support groups and even people in the neighborhood to just start interacting again. I think it will all be better off for it.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Okay, guys, I'm going to move on to the next. We're going to have you guys go away, and we're going to talk a little bit about transportation. We'll have you come back in at the end, though. We'll have some more questions for you. So let's talk about transportation. I know as a real estate agent, when I go and I meet with seniors, one of the first things that they say is making them move is the fact that they can't drive anymore. So they're not able to get their food. They're not able to get the services. They're not able to get out and do what they need. And so we're finding that they're moving to, let's say, a senior living community or someplace like that because they offer transportation. Well, there are alternative transportation modes. And so we just wanted to tell you about some of those. And these could allow you to remain in your home a little bit longer. One is a taxi. I know that's probably not your favorite, but that is definitely an option. Another is Uber and Lyft. And those are applications that we do on our phone. I know a lot of us over the past year have really learned how to use some of these phone apps because we needed them. And so we've got Uber and Lyft for that. Of course, friends and neighbors, they're awesome. There is a group, it's called Faith in Action. They're in Georgetown. They are a volunteer group who will help you to match with a volunteer with somebody who needs transportation. Another is Senior Access. They're located in Pflugerville. There's also Drive a Senior. I happen to be involved with Drive a Senior Central, and they also have a bus service. And the bus service before COVID, they had routes that they would go and pick up people at their home and take them to grocery stores, to H-E-B and to Randall's. And this was a great service for people. If you can't get food into the home, what are you going to do? So being able to be on a Drive a Senior route once a week or twice a week and being able to get to the grocery store, it's free. There's no charge for that. And the different driving, like the Faith in Action, is going to be specific in their geographic area. The same for Senior Access, and Drive a Senior Central would be in the south part of town, Elgin, Dripping Springs, Lakeway, and mostly in South Austin. And you would just reach out to any of those 3 organizations. They do an intake process where they talk to you and find out what your needs are, where you might want to go. And then, like I said, they'll set you up with a volunteer. The process is the volunteers will get pinged or notified that there's somebody who needs a ride, and then they can choose to drive that person on that day and time if it works out for them. The elder doesn't have to be technologically astute. They don't need to get online and do anything. They can just call. But most of the volunteers will go online to determine what rides they're able to drive for. And the other is Capital Metro. So those are some options for you. Again, we learned a lot during COVID in that we started to use HEB, to come either to go pick up, or we would have, I can't even think of what it's called now. But anyway, we use that service. We spent a lot of money and they come and just deliver all of our food for us. We've gotten a little spoiled. But now that we're vaccinated, me and my mom, we have been going into the grocery stores and doing more shopping. But it's fun to get a delivery too. It's a little bit more expensive, but that's one way to get the food into the house. So let's move on. Bobby, I'm going to have you come back in and talk about personal attendant services. We have some specific questions for you, and then these are just some comments that we'll review that are here on the slide. But as you're coming back in, the first question we're going to ask you is, what impact has the COVID-19 pandemic had on the need for home care? And home care, the personal home care tasks are bathing, dressing, grooming, cooking, shopping, housekeeping, and laundry. So those are some of the basic tasks that a personal attendant service will do. But Bobby, tell us what happened with the impact of COVID-19 and the demand. Did you see the demand go up or down for home care?
So sure, initially the demand went down because there was a great amount of fear in the community with people having outside attendants or even their own family members into their home. So that was, so initially, demand for our services dropped, but it was kind of like a hockey stick approach. So that once people realized that they weren't going to be able to see their loved ones in senior living communities, the spike for the demand for our services really happened all at once, and it's kind of continued. I think people realize that, well, if we're practicing the proper protocols and all of the attendants out there are wearing masks and they're using gloves and hand sanitizer, all the proper PPE, if you've got that, that's the best chance you have against preventing the spread of COVID. So we saw a real surge in demand, and particularly people who were on the fence about putting their loved one in a senior community and knowing that they weren't going to be able to see them for an indefinite period of time. That was really the bulk of where all of our new business came from during COVID.
So it was really people who were delaying making the move to senior living because they were worried that they wouldn't be able to see their loved one.
Yep, there was some of that. And then some of it was people who had already been in skilled nursing, and when they got dismissed or got discharged from skilled nursing, they wanted to come home and they realized they still needed some additional help. So there were people like us in home health that were coming in to really help supplement their care.
Well, tell us, does Medicare pay for services in the home? And if they don't or they do, what do you think the future looks like for them to be paying for it?
Sure, great question. Today, Medicare does not pay for home care services. Medicare does pay for home health. And the difference being home health services are those things like occupational therapy, physical therapy, wound care, but home care, any kind of ADLs or activities of daily living is not covered. However, there are some tests going on in several states, and Texas hopefully will be soon added to that, where home care will be covered as a part of Medicare Advantage plans or Medicare Part D plans. But that has not happened in the state of Texas yet. I think it's going to be a real help for those people who need to bridge the gap between the need for home care and the affordability factor of it. So I think it's going to be really important. So we're hoping that maybe by next year, Congress will see fit to take that issue up and make it nationwide. But right now there are several insurance companies, large insurance companies, that are in tests for doing Medicare Advantage plans with home care included.
What states are those in, Bobby?
There's about 7 of them. I know there's Tennessee, there's Oregon, and I can't remember. That's a trick question. I'll have to follow up with you on that one. But
Okay, good. There are some other ways to pay for it. Private pay, is the most obvious.
yes, and long-term, if you have long-term care insurance. And then there are some nonprofits who would provide service through Medicaid, but that's a little different process. So you'd have to first be a Medicaid recipient, and then you'd have to apply separately through your Medicaid office. And I can tell you there's a waiting list of people who are trying to get that care, because there's only so much in funding that's dedicated to in-home care. So that's become part of an issue. But if you have any kind of long-term care insurance, that's covered. Also, if you're a veteran from World War II, Vietnam, or the Korean War, or a surviving spouse, there's a benefit called the Veterans Aid and Attendant Pension Benefit that can also be useful for anyone that qualifies. There are some limitations in terms of assets and income to qualify for that, but it certainly wouldn't hurt if you're a veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran and you're in need of some in-home care to explore that option.
That can be a real lifesaver. I've had several clients who have qualified for that. If somebody has a question about that, could they ask you about that, Bobby?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So the chat area, if in the chat area, I'm going to have Bobby and Amy and Kelly put their contact information in there. You can also go to our website. If you go to LT Senior Services, everybody who's on the panel, their information is there along with their bio. So you can go there too. So this is a great question. So what is the break-even number of hours of home care services at current market rates before it becomes more economical to just move into, say, assisted living? And
Sure.
how do you, determine that?
Well, I would tell you that the average cost right now of assisted living somewhere in the neighborhood of about $4,500 a month. So, and the average cost of an hour's worth of home care services somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 to $28 per hour. So if you do the math, it's about 40 hours a week. If a person needed more than that, it's probably more beneficial. And if if they required more acute services, it would probably be more beneficial for them to be in an assisted living where there's a nurse on staff, 24 hours a day versus doing home care. But anything up to that, obviously if you wanted to live at home, you could find a home care agency like ours who would send an attendant in who could take care of mostly anything you need, anything from light housekeeping, meal preparation, laundry, activities of daily living. If you need help dressing, bathing, toileting, or any of those things that you don't think about until you need them, right? So the break-even point would really be based on what the needs are, not just a dollar factor.
And I was going to ask you a question. Gosh darn, left my mind. So do you have a minimum number of hours that somebody needs to have your services per day?
A great question. So most agencies around will have a minimum of about 4 hours. And most people say, well, wow, I don't need 4 hours for someone to make me a meal or to do my laundry. But you'd be surprised at the number of tasks and how fast those 4 hours will go. And ask the reason why. Most of the time, it's difficult to get a caregiver to drive, across the city of Austin in traffic for less than that. It's got to be worth their while as well. So I think that's probably why that number is a norm. So typically about a minimum of about 4 hours.
We're talking about in the home, but you also provide these services in senior living communities. It's not uncommon. So you help people to stay in independent living longer and not need assisted living. And so you're able to save them quite a bit of money to be able to do that.
True. Our goal is to help people to live safely, comfortably, and independently wherever they call home. And in a lot of cases, that keeping them from having to make that step up from independent living to assisted living or to memory care is a huge advantage for them, and having someone in to really help them with their daily needs.
Well, thank you, Bobby. We're going to have you go off the screen, for a little bit, and then I will have you come back in at the very end for question and answer. Thank you for answering those questions.
Sure.
Just real quick, I wanted to go through home health care. Home health is can be paid by Medicare. It also could be paid for via insurance. You have to have a doctor's orders, or you have to have a recent health or event to be able to have home health care. It provides nursing services, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and wound care, some of the things that Bobby talked about. So home health is different than attendant care. In addition, you can have concierge or in-home physicians. I know we've seen a huge difference. I'm a caregiver for my mom, and we've been able to do a lot of our doctors and our health needs over the phone. So it's been fabulous. We don't have to drive someplace, which when you have a problem walking and parking the car and things like that, it really is helpful. But there are in-home options. One is concierge. We do have a concierge physician who's part of our group. It's Be Well MD, and they have been a godsend for many families. They recently helped a family of mine in that they help to coordinate all the other physicians. So it's more than just in-home. They're actually doing coordinating, and it's just a great service. So if you have a complicated medical needs, you might consider concierge or in-home physicians. Hospice care is normally paid for Medicare, insurance, private pay, and nonprofit. Hospice care is normally free. Most of the time, people don't take advantage of the hospice care until they could have been taken care of, had them be involved for months before they actually hire them. There's a stigma behind hospice care that really needs to change, but they provide palliative and end-of-life care. And typically, the client will have 6 months or less to live. But it includes nursing services, pain control, social work, chaplain, volunteers, personal care, bathing, etc. It can be a godsend for a family to be able to have an extra set of hands come in and be able to assist. They also help pay for some of your supplies. So it could be adult diapers and things like that too. Bobby, did you want to say something? It looks like you've unmuted.
I did. I wanted to add to that
Yes.
we actually work in concert, home care agencies actually work in concert with hospice care to also provide respite care for families, because we know how strong that can be. So if family needs to take a break from being at the bedside of an individual who's on hospice, home care agencies can also help with that.
Excellent.
And I also wanted to share some good news that
Yes.
it's hospice care does not always mean that the person is going to be at the end of their life. We just had one of our clients to graduate from hospice just last week.
Mhm.
We're happy about that.
Yeah, there's such a stigma, and I've seen several clients who were, supposedly hospice, and then hospice was like, nope, we can't come anymore. You're doing too good. So I would just take advantage. Like I said, it's free, right, Bobby? I mean, most of the time, hospice care, you're not paying for any of that.
That's correct.
Yeah, so take advantage for sure. Obstacles for people staying in their homes. So Kelly, I'm going to have you come in if you would, and why don't you tell us what some of the obstacles are for people when they're trying to stay in their home? And I know this is going to be from your perspective, which is different from Amy's and different from Bobby's. So tell us what you know.
Hi, thank you for having me here today. And I know I missed the beginning. I apologize for that. But I wanted to say a couple of things. We're seeing some new trends that we haven't seen before. We're seeing a lot of people bring their parents home, either from maybe out of state. And also we're seeing a lot of parents come in with their children out of nursing homes and independent and assisted living. So it's been kind of an interesting time for us with COVID. We normally do in-home evaluations. We've been doing a lot of evaluations through photos, videos, that type of thing. So we're very excited that things are starting to turn around and we'll be able to visit with people again. But so from a perspective of mobility, it could be a parent, it could be a sister, it could be a child. We deal with lots of people with mobility issues. So these are kind of the things that to think about, when you're wanting to stay in your home. The number one thing is steps. How many steps do you have? And people sometimes think, well, my bedroom is downstairs. I don't really need to go upstairs. But oftentimes there's 1 or 2 steps into the house, 1 or 2 steps in from the garage. So that's kind of the number one challenge that we see people dealing with is steps, whether it's 1 step or 20 steps. Rugs sometimes can be a challenge. Tripping over rugs, lighting is a big deal. Narrow doorways and shower thresholds are probably the second thing that we see in terms of challenges. So, you know, when you're thinking about staying in your home, maybe you'll be in a wheelchair or having a rollator. You know, these are things that you want to kind of think about and plan for. So, yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, what are some of the solutions for these obstacles? So we were talking about stairs. What would be, and I know you actually helped a client of mine. She was bringing her father to stay in the home for just a short time. He wasn't even going to be moving into the home.
Yep.
And you were able, and his bedroom was going to be upstairs, and you were able to install temporarily a chairlift for them.
Yep.
So that's just an example of how you can make the house modified immediately.
That's correct. Stair lifts are probably the number one solution. And stair lifts can be rented, they can be purchased, they can be outdoors, they can be indoors, they could be on 3 steps, they could be on 20 steps. So really stair lifts are an excellent solution for a lot of stair issues. We also do auto lifts for people that have scooters and power chairs. They want to take their mobility devices with them. One way to do that is to put a lift on or in their vehicle. Grab bars, you see them in hotels all the time. If you look at even Home Depot, they have decorator grab bars. So you don't even know when you look at it that it's a grab bar. So in the old clunky ones, you don't have to buy that. You can buy something very nice in terms of grab bars. We do vertical platform lifts, patient lift systems, lift chairs, ramps, elevators, and also pool lifts for folks that have pools. You'll see pool lifts a lot at hotels and apartment complexes, but you can actually put one in your home. You can either put a portable pool lift in or one that mounts in the concrete. So really the bottom line is every house is different. Every person's mobility issues are different. So our job is to kind of come in and assess everything and come up with a good game plan for you. We offer lots of different solutions. So we're not there just to sell you something. We're there to help you find the best solution for your needs.
Well, and I love that she was able to rent it from y'all. And I guess it didn't damage their floors very much. You have a carpet, and I guess you put the screws into the carpet, and you can just fluff up the carpet when you're done, and it was no big deal. So oftentimes when I'm meeting people, you know, they're saying I need to sell my house because my master bedroom is, you know, upstairs. And I've brought you in before where you've consulted with people and they've said, look, we can do this, but other places it doesn't work to have a lift. But in most cases it does. And I was asking you, Kelly, not too long ago, should I invest in an elevator company? Because I just feel like we're going to have a ton of elevators. Have you seen anything change with elevators lately?
We're still seeing a lot of elevator requests. The issue with elevators is a lot of times they require a pit. And if the house is on a slab, you can't cut into the slab to put in the elevator pit. So that's kind of we have some non-traditional elevator solutions, but then you have to kind of cut a hole in the ceiling. So the challenge with the elevators is obviously the slab issue, and also where can you put the elevator. A lot of times people they don't realize how much space an elevator takes, and if they don't have a really good place for it, it could really kind of remove 2 rooms, one on the downstairs level, one on the upstairs level.
When you also have just a lot of safety concerns when you're installing an elevator, there's so many people involved in that. I mean, you have a lot of people watching what you're doing. So you have to be super, super careful.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of cordon things off. The other issue with the elevators is the city of Austin is very particular about making structural changes to homes. So there's a lot of permits involved in the time and cost with that. A lot of times they'll even require a structural engineer to get involved. Since you're cutting a hole in the ceiling, they want to make sure that you're not damaging the integrity of the home by cutting the hole.
Mm-hmm. So it's complicated. It's not a weekend job that you can do it yourself. You need to have a professional like you. I know that we have people from all around the nation who might be on the call. So 101 Mobility is a franchise, isn't it? So You
Yeah.
service the central Austin area, but if
That's
somebody's in
correct.
another location, they could contact 101 Mobility and have you come out and do a service call or give you an idea of what could be done.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
We are franchised, which is nice. We have a central location and we share resources and information. So it's not just a mom and pop, but you really have a team of people behind you.
Is any of this covered under insurance?
Unfortunately, Medicare and Medicaid generally does not cover these solutions for people. We are seeing some like Aflac policy sometimes will cover some things. We just did a installation of 2 stair lifts for a lady, and her long-term care policy covered it because she was looking at going into assisted living and that cost versus just putting in 2 stair lifts. And it was kind of a no-brainer for her. Of course, she wanted to stay in her home, but her long-term care she paid directly, and then she was reimbursed by her long-term care policy.
Wow, that
so-
seems shocking, but smart. I mean, because they're not going to pay out now, right?
That's right. They'd rather pay $6,000 than pay $4,000 a month. So
Do you
for
see
them,
anything?
it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, do you see anything with other nonprofits, say for example, any veterans groups that's able to use your services and have it be covered?
We work with the VA. So for veterans that have injuries from their military days that create their mobility challenges, a lot of times the VA will assist with their needs. So we do work directly with the VA for that.
That's great.
We
Well,
also work with some state agencies, mostly with children, not so much with seniors, but the state of Texas has funds set aside for children that have severe disabilities like cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy and that type of thing.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly. I'm going to have you go off the screen. I'm going to go ahead and go through the rest of these PowerPoints, and we'll have you come back on at the very end and answer questions. So the home safety and falls. Falls are the leading cause of accidental deaths in older adults. And really the question is, how safe is your house? And these are some of the common causes of falls at your house. They include cords, rugs, throw rugs, clutter, poor lighting, slippery floors, and stairs. The first thing when I walk into a house, I'm going to look at throw rugs. I think that's the number one thing that can happen to people to cause them to fall. Every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in an emergency room for a fall. And you guys, these are all, what I love about this and hate about it is all these things can be controlled by you. You can control not having cords. You can control not having throw rugs, clutter, poor lighting, et cetera, et cetera. So really making your home safe will help you to stay in your home longer. According to the National Council on Aging, 1 in 4 Americans over the age of 65 falls each year. Among people aged 65 to 69, 1 out of every 200 falls results in a hip fracture. I forget the statistic for if you break your hip. It's not good. It's pretty much over if you break your hip. You really don't want to break your hip. So that number increases to 1 out of every 10 for those age 85 and older. So when you're 85 and you fall, you're 1 out of 10 of you is going to break your hip. The cost is $50 billion annually. And of that amount, $29 billion is Medicare and 12 out of pocket and $9 billion in Medicaid. Every 19 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. So can you see our concern about falls? Less than 1% of the homes in the United States are wheelchair accessible. So we really need to encourage builders and other people to build homes that are wheelchair accessible. There are about 2 million new wheelchair users every year, and 1.825 million wheelchair users are at the age of 65 or older. And all of this information was provided to me. I'm part of CSA, Certified Senior Advisors, and this is statistics that they provided for us. When you look through the common causes of falls in the homes, cords, throw rugs, clutter, poor lighting, the poor lighting, you can solve that for about $10. And you can put in some lights in your hallway, so that would help you, if you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom. Slippery floors in a shower. You can change the shower floor so that it's not slippery. It's easy to do. It's inexpensive. Stairs, again, we just got done talking. We should have asked Kelly. Kelly, I'm going to ask you this question too. What the cost for a stair lift is and elevators, but simple ramps, could be $200 to a couple $1,000. It really just depends on how far the ramp is and how tall it is. Some other home modifications to consider. Kelly talked a little bit about this. One of them is the grab bars and the handrails. And you're right, this is kind of a traditional handrail here. If you go to Home Depot and you go to Lowe's and other places like that, you're going to see some really beautiful grab bars that actually look like they're towel racks. To me, they just look like decorative towel racks. When you have those installed, you really do need to install them properly so that they are safe. Again, doing that before you move into the house is always helpful. The lever style doorknobs, this has made a big difference in our house. They're $8 to $15 a piece. A smart toilet, they can be anywhere from $170 to about $6,000. These are toilets that help people who have hygiene problems and limited range of motion, these smart toilets. And so anyway, they can range anywhere from 160 on up. Widening a door for access. So it is very expensive to widen a door, but a solution can be what's called a swing away hinge. And the hinge actually allows the door to open up a little bit more. So if you're looking for just a little bit more. Induction cooktops, they range from $260 to $2,000. You do have to have special cookware, but the advantage of the induction cooktop is if you touch it, you won't get burnt. And so if your loved one is leaving on the cooktop, that could be something that could help them. Walk-in shower or tub, those are going to range. They could be anywhere from, $5,000 on up to, you could spend tens of thousands of dollars on that. But if you're doing a reno and you want to take out a tub for a shower, as long as you have a tub someplace else in the house, we think that's okay. But you don't want to have all of your bathtubs gone, because people like a bathtub, for a grandchild or for a dog or tie-dyeing, I don't know, something like that. So this, those tubs that you just open up and you can sit in. I sold 2 houses 2 years ago, and I had 2 houses that had those, and I prepared my sellers. I was like, I think somebody's going to want you to take that out and just put it in a traditional shower, but let's see what happens. And both of those homes, younger people purchased it, and they loved that idea of that sit-in kind of tub because they were athletes. And they wanted to have that kind of experience in their tub. So I was surprised. So you think that those tubs are just for older clients, and it is not. Younger people like them too. We talk about this. We talk about moving the master bedroom to the first floor, and it's just kind of that break-even cost. It's very similar to the conversation Bobby had about how much money should you spend on having in-home care come into the home versus just go ahead and moving to assisted living. Same thing that we have conversations about when people are talking about, should I move or should I stay and should I do a reno? Having the master on the main floor, most buyers like having the master on the main floor. So even if you're young, you like it. So it would not be a bad thing to make that transition. You may be taking a formal dining room if you have a secondary dining room and moving or making that into a bedroom could be a good idea. A statistic that I learned while I was preparing is that most people over 65 only bathe once a week. And the reason for that is they are afraid. They're afraid of lifting their leg to get into the tub. If you're over 80, you may bathe only twice a month. And again, in my opinion, it comes down to safety and just not feeling safe, about getting in the tub. They're worried about falling. So if you can make some of these changes, it can help change the life for our loved ones. Home modifications. So who can do home modifications? There's a designation that's called Certified Aging in Place. And if you Google Certified Aging in Place, you'll find a group of them. I believe that there were about 81 of them in the Austin area. They have a wide variety of backgrounds. It's really intriguing. They could be a social worker. They could be a remodeler. They could be a builder. They could be a realtor. So these are people who can come into your home and they can help you evaluate your home and give you an idea of the things that you could change and what the costs would be so that you can remain in your home. My recommendation is to start making changes that you want for your home now so that you can enjoy, and just kind of make a list and chip away at it. I know right now it's really hard to get people to come to your home to do work because they've been busy with snowvid, but that should change too. So yes, I would definitely make a short-term plan and a long-term plan. And you definitely want to solve these issues before you have some kind of incident. We oftentimes will see people coming and talking to us after they've had a fall or something bad has happened. And then they want the master on the main floor. And what are you going to do then? Because it's too late, basically. I have something else I want to share with you. And this is something that I'll actually we'll include in our handout at the very end of, you'll get an email because you attended, and we'll have this home safety checklist included. This is a great list, not just for you, but if you have a loved one that you're concerned about how they're living, you could say, hey, I've got this home safety checklist. Let's go through this together. Let's see things that, we could change to make better in the future. I'm going to scroll to the very bottom. Let me see if I can here. Scroll to the very bottom and tell you who I got this list from. I got it from the California Department of Aging, a Senior Housing Information and Support Center. So if you go through here, like I said, it's just a checklist. It probably would be something that other people coming into the home might use. Actually, let's bring in all of our different panelists and let's have you talk about this home safety checklist. Bobby, do you have a home safety checklist when you meet with your clients for the first time?
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
And
does it kind of look like this?
It does. And the reason that we recommend having someone from the outside to do it is because, once you've lived in your home for so long, everything looks normal to you. So it pays to have what I call a third eye to come in and do an independent kind of evaluation, because you'll get somebody who'll say, well, I've had that cord stretched across the floor for 20 years and I've never fallen on it. So, but it looks normal to them, but to us, to the trained eye, you say, well, that's a pretty significant fall risk. And to your point about the statistics, you don't want to fall and break a hip at being a senior, because it could be a death sentence for you.
Yeah, do you know what that statistic is, Bobby? I've forgotten it. I don't know if it's 40% never return to their home. It's a huge percentage. It's really terrible.
I think it's more like 60. And if you don't recover within a year, most of the people pass away from it because of the immobility factor.
And the thing is, it's completely solvable. It's so inexpensive. I think having a third person come in can also be helpful for a caregiver, because a caregiver, they're going and visiting their mom and they can see all these things that are wrong and they're just going to be the bad person. So having that third person come in, I think is a great idea. Amy, you have any feedback on that?
Yeah, I was just going to add on the falls prevention piece of it, along with the home safety, is maintaining your fitness, right? It's really important to be exercising your hips, your knees, your ankles, even your wrists, so that when you fall, your wrists and your shoulders are very hard to recover when you have a fall. So the stronger they are, the better chances you have of a recovery. And there's some really simple things that you can do at home, to try and strengthen those pieces. But that's why fitness is so important, is that fall prevention piece.
And Kelly, you probably have a checklist similar to that when you come into a home, just from a different perspective. And how does it look kind of like that? And how are you received when you fill out that paperwork in front of your clients? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. We should have a different term for that. I think it'll go down as a hashtag.
Okay.
You're on mute.
Okay, I think I got it. So we do have a checklist, but what I really do is I just walk around the home with the individuals living there, and just room by room figure out where the challenges are and just take a fresh look. Like you said earlier, I think the fresh look makes a big difference, because you see things when you're looking at something for the first time, versus seeing it every day. It's a different perspective. And I think your point about having somebody objective make a statement versus another family member, that makes a huge difference in how things are received and taken.
Kelly, do you charge to come do an assessment, or how do you work that?
No, we don't. We do that free of charge.
Great. Hey, how about you, Bobby? Your initial visit, do you charge for that, or?
No, not at all. It's a complimentary in-home assessment.
Do you have a recommendation of who should be there for a meeting like that? Who are the stakeholders that you would recommend be there?
Well, I guess it would depend on the mental and physical condition of the person who lives there.
Okay.
If the person, for example, has dementia, we should probably be an adult child or someone who has power of attorney,
Mhm.
so that they can kind of help talk them through the decisions and help them figure out which way is the most optimal solution for them.
That makes sense. Well, let me go to the question and answer. Are there special companies that specialize in converting bathtubs to the safety bathtubs? I'm looking at Kelly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any company that does, I would just Google bath modifications. It's somewhat specialized because of the plumbing work involved. So you probably want to have somebody that operates kind of as a general contractor, because there's going to be quite a number of different trades involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of people because you've got electric, plumbing,
Right.
drywall, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I do think that, gosh, I can't believe I keep on losing my train of thought. Oh, the CAPS people. If you look at the certified agent in place people, oftentimes they're project managers and they can get that done for you.
Yep.
And they can get it done pretty too. So let's see, I've got some questions here. If you live in a one-level, second-story condo with a common stairwell, can the condo association prevent you from installing a chair? That's interesting. Have you had any experience with that, Kelly?
I have. That's a really tricky question because it's actually a legal issue, because every condo resident has their right, and then you have a condo association, and then you have the Americans with Disabilities Act. All of that's kind of wrapped up in the issue. I know when we do work in condos, we have to provide our insurance certificate, and the condo association has to sign off on anything that we do. So I know it's doable. Stair lifts do come with keys, so if there is concern about the general public using a stair lift, then that can be controlled with the key control. So there's solutions. I think the first step would be reaching out to your condo association.
Yeah, thank you for that. That is a complex issue, and I know with ADA that definitely would come into place. There's probably lots of different people who would help you out if you wanted to have a chair lift.
Yeah,
just getting to the right person. I am not seeing any other questions or chats. Let me ask this question. We went through the PowerPoint fairly quickly. Is there anything that I might have missed or anything that y'all would like to say before we end? And Kelly, if you would just go ahead and start, if there's anything that you would like to add in addition to what we've talked about thus far.
Thank you for having me today. I guess the takeaway from my perspective is don't give up. There's always solutions. I hate to see people make rash decisions. The other takeaway is don't wait too long. I can't tell you the number of times we've put in solutions for people because they fell and they're coming home from rehab. And then when they come home, they're kicking themselves for waiting too long to make decisions that they really should have made earlier.
I see that all the time too. I see people do full remodels of their home right before they sell it, and had they just taken the time, they could have enjoyed a lot of those upgrades themselves. Bobby, was there anything you wanted to add before we say goodbye?
Sure, I'll just add that, from the trends that are happening now, I would encourage people to look at home care differently and look at it more as a home and community-based care, because a lot of the health and wellness initiatives are moving from a brick and mortar building to either virtual or to community-based services. So don't be afraid of making that shift, because most people think that the only place they can get care is inside of a doctor's office, and that's not necessarily so. And I think as we tend to move forward, you'll see a lot more integration of home health, home care, and hospice organizations working together to provide health and wellness solutions versus, kind of being separate entities.
It makes sense to have it all under one roof and have you all cooperating because it's complex,
It is.
and those clients so well, and to just hand them off to somebody else is a little scary. Amy, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just great conversation. Thank you for being here. And just a reminder to everybody that active aging and staying healthy is about your mind, body, and your spirit. So be sure to focus on that. And then I forgot to mention that Aging is Cool also offers in-home activities. So that can be an option. We're seeing a real increase in that lately. I'm assuming it's from COVID and people feeling more comfortable, but we have fitness instructors, brain trainers, and just people that can come in and kind of assess needs and see what you or your loved one might like and customize something for them. So that's available as well.
Excellent. We did have somebody ask us where they can get the checklist. We're going to go ahead and include the checklist in our follow-up email where we ask you for feedback too. Thank you, panelists. We appreciate you so much. It was a great conversation. We know that when people come, they might have come for one speaker, but they probably learned from the other speakers things that they didn't even think about. We appreciate y'all being here. We'll see you next month where we'll talk about technologies that you can use in the home. Have a great month. Bye.